I did. Welcome to Slow News Day Live. My name is Steve Poikinen. I am here in beautiful Boulder Creek, California, where the flannel shirt is our state flag, the pit bull is our state bird, and cannabis is our state flower. I am joined this beautiful afternoon by my good friend sitting to the left of me, Benjamin Balderson from the show Odin's Alchemy and member of the Eyes Open network of content creators, and my good friend Jason Carney, who is in a hotel room somewhere.
Yes,
Jason, undisclosed location. He's like the artist formerly known as Peter Douche's liaison, who was holed up in an embassy suites.
So what are we going to talk about today, Steve?
Well, because it's a thing that happened and it deserves at least mockery and some note, because there's some fresh new lines of propaganda coming out in it. The Democratic Party staged a talking point seminar and narrative festival called Debates. And the first night was geared to protect and showcase Elizabeth Warren. And the second night was to kind of expose, let it be okay to expose Joe Biden as a complete and total piece of shit, because along with Elizabeth Warren in the fucking hamster minds of the American public, they were now being introduced to Kamala Harris for the first 8th time, and Mayor Pete Buttigieg. And they wanted to make Bernie Sanders look like a cranky old has-been. Am I missing much here?
Basically, the entire evening was such a fuckfest that the overwhelming narrative that came out of it was Joe Biden apologizing for running out of time in his retort. They had a period of time in which they could make their impassioned bullshit talking points, and time was starting to run out. And instead of engaging in the actual issue that he was trying to defend himself on, he apologized for running out of time. So it was a big thing on Twitter, and it shows you the level of uselessness that this debate was. The biggest narratives that came out of the night is that Bernie Sanders yells too much, and that his progressive wing is being hijacked by other candidates. Kamala Harris dove face first into the progressive ideology, which is kind of convenient since she's never been a progressive. And the level of condescending behavior that came from her was absolutely amazing. At one point in an exchange with Biden about bus integration in the 70s, in which Biden has some serious foibles when it comes to race. For a vast majority of his career, she came across initially beginning with, "I know you're not racist," but it was one of those evenings that it didn't give you anything. It showed hysterically. I think the one bright spot was the lack of any presidential candidate supporting quote unquote Obamacare, aka Romney Care, aka Affordable Care Act. That says something. During Clinton's infamous run, ACA was touted as the greatest thing since sliced bread. It was shown to be the way that America is all going to have health care. We're going to save lives. We're going to make things cheaper. We're going to save the people with this horrendous act. And Democrats started to defend that for the longest time. Then the reality kicked in. We still have millions upon millions of people without insurance, a penalty for not having that insurance. People are still dying, still going bankrupt, etc. So thanks to progressives on the left.
Prescription costs skyrocketed.
And it's just been a boon for the insurance. That's really all it was at the end of the day. It was a giveaway to the insurance companies. Well, and now you have Democrats essentially completely diving away from that and jumping into Medicare for all, being seen by a majority of Americans as the only viable way to continue on with our health care in this country. It was hilarious and it was ironic that Harris, among others, who you couldn't get to make a comment on Medicare for all maybe a year ago, all of a sudden are acting like they've been impassioned supporters since day one. They were back with Dennis Kucinich back in 2003, 2004, fighting for a single payer system. That's how long they've been in the game. That was
There's literally a picture of them standing next to Hillary Clinton with a signed thank you note addressed to them for their help in fighting for a single payer universal healthcare system.
Well,
because that picture does exist.
Oh, it does. No. There's no argument there. But what I want to kind of relay to the audience, and I hope they really engage today. This is one of those ones where give and take is going to be awesome. We have what we learned from this last debate, and I don't know how it's going to change. I don't know if they're going to switch it to maybe the top 5, maybe the top 7. I don't know how they're going to work it. 10 is too many on that fucking stage. Unless you're going to have a 5-hour fucking debate where you actually get into the meat and potatoes of things and not talking points.
I can't imagine.
It only takes an hour to air a Benny Hill episode, and that's what I watched to prepare for this.
Sadly enough, that is exactly probably 10 minutes into the debate. That's exactly with the music. Yeah, all that. Yeah, that's the exact same thing. That is a perfect analogy there. What the Democrats are looking at right now, if everything stands as is not only an electoral college loss, but an actual popular vote loss to one of the most heinous, horrendous people on the face of the planet. They're setting themselves up by cannibalizing. Democrats aren't stupid. They know that the third way Clinton centrism is dying. There's no place for it within the party. They'll argue it, they'll fight it, they'll slate everything to kind of skew against progressives in the left. We all see that, we all recognize that, but they also recognize Medicare for all, not jumping into foreign interventions, an economy that works for everybody, social justice reform. All these things are important to the American people and to their electorate. So now you start to see them ebbing away from that centrism, but at a really glacier-type pace. You're not going to have a win in 2020 unless you got to go shift left. Now, all these pundits from MSNBC and all these other individuals will tell you, a majority of Americans don't feel this way. A majority of Americans don't. Shifting to the left is going to cause them to lose in a landslide to Trump and Republicans. This country is slowly but surely, society-wise, politically, and any other way you can measure it, is moving left. And Democrats are having a hard time really grasping that. So you have candidates, Hickenlooper is the one that comes to mind immediately, and among others, Biden. They kind of show the old guard versus the new guard. And at the end of the day, if things keep up as is, they're going to lose. This debate was a joke. It was absolutely horrible. Biden, the God-chosen, preordained frontrunner. I haven't seen a candidate fumble that hard since what's his face from the Libertarian Party thought Aleppo was an acronym.
Gary Johnson, that was hilarious.
Right, that was the last time I saw a candidate flop that hard, and he's supposed to be the front runner for the second major party in this country's duopoly.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? Sanders was blown off as an old guy who yells a lot. Harris was a condescending prick. I hate to say it. Like, I can't stress. It's good to be intelligent. It's great to have a grasp on policy. Harris does. Harris is a bright woman. She has a firm grasp on policy. I disagree with her on every level, and her level of hypocrisy is amazing. But I would never take that away from her. But
well,
the thing at the end of the
she's got everything from Sacramento south on lockdown, which is what, a sixth of the country, and
right.
Whether that actually translates into winning anything, that's a whole lot of people blowing sunshine up your ass.
And that's the thing. And if she is going to be the bellwether, she's going to be the future leader of this party, we have some serious problems. She is not going to be strong in the general against anyone. She's tenacious. She's tough. I will give her all those things. But you have 2 other candidates that are running right now. You have Tulsi and Bernie that are much stronger, that would do much better in a general, and that is more on the pulse of the American people. But Harris is obviously being pushed. This is a huge push, especially after it, because if you read any of the talking heads or any of the MSM interpretation of the debates, Harris was godlike. She rose above the rest. She was amazing for attacking Biden on his past and all these other things. And I agree with her attacks on Biden when it came to the racial issues that he had. But at the end of the day, Harris is not a strong candidate.
He didn't just say, "Hey, how many minorities did you lock up, and how many did you help out during your tenure?" He didn't just, maybe point that out.
That's what I want to get at, because anybody who is worth their anything in politics will be able to point at Senator Harris and say, it's really easy to go after the poor, but where were you on Steve Mnuchin? Where were you on Wells Fargo? Where were you on prosecuting the rich and going after those who are affluent?
She's on tape. She is on tape saying that white collar crimes are hard to prosecute, generate a lot of paperwork, require a lot of man hours, whereas low level offenders you can lock up cheaply and you can point to success rates for immediate immediate action having immediate results. And that she's on tape saying this. This is not speculation. This is fucking public record shit. It wasn't her job to go after white collar criminals, people in power, pedophile priests, fucking the people that actually killed Bobby Kennedy, fucking Steve Mnuchin and One West Bank. The Trump family donated to her campaigns.
She's backed by almost every police union in the state.
But here's the thing.
They love her.
And I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with the structure within the legal system. I don't assume so, and I'm not saying this like a condescending prick. Name a prosecutor or an attorney general that has had to lift a finger in any case. They have assistant DAs and they have lawyers underneath them that are prosecutors for the state that do all the work. To have that as an excuse is absolute bullshit. She wouldn't have lifted a finger in any case that has occurred while AG. She wouldn't have lifted her finger in any case as a DA. So that's a piss poor excuse. What that's essentially saying is, I've got nothing. I'm just protecting the rich.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody worth their salt will bring this up in the general as a point of hypocrisy. This will be on the level of Mitt Romney's 47% type of snafu. Except in this case, it isn't a secret taping in a fundraiser. It's her entire record as a prosecutor and as attorney general. She is not a strong candidate, yet the mainstream will push it because she will protect neoliberal interests.
Well, and because they can hit you over the head with identity politics no matter what. Before she was allowed to fucking tee off on Biden, it was divisive. It was something that helped Vladimir Putin. It was something that was guaranteeing the re-election of Donald Trump to bring up Joe Biden's record. To speak ill, not even to speak ill of Biden, but to print quotes of Joe Biden's. For anywhere from not that long ago to when he was first starting out and finding out what would guide his fucking governing philosophy, like hanging out with fucking the most openly fucking segregationist senator in fucking Congress. Like there's a gotta be a blatant level of recognition that this is a fucking cartoon. This is theater in front of us. If you've been paying a lick of attention to the political sphere, you know that sharing information about the record of centrist Democrats is akin to stamping a hammer and sickle on your forehead and fucking waving a fucking just a MAGA flag. Not even an America flag, just a MAGA flag. And it's actually a big foam hat, right? But that's what you are. But now that Kamala Harris is fucking taking a few shots at him, it's okay to do that. And the reason it's okay to do that is because these guys know that eventually Joe Biden is going to have to talk. And when he does, it's going to go so bad for him.
What did we say a couple of months ago on one of our first shows when speaking about Biden? It was a stupid pick that he was going to be propelled to front runner status, and he was too flawed to be in that particular area. He's too flawed for a general. You brought up a great point, losing the 88 election, losing election after election when it came to running for president. There's a reason for that, and these myopic, short-term memory Democrats that are trying so hard to push him to the forefront can't seem to remember just 2016 or 2008. And it's not that complicated of a process. Biden is a flawed candidate. The fact that he was propelled to frontrunner status shows you how desperate the centrists are to try to maintain any type of hold whatsoever on the power that they currently enjoy.
Well, and here's the problem. In order to entertain, if we take, because I understand that the Democrats feel like they're morally better than Trump. Orange man bad, Cheeto bad, you know. So what we've got to do is just take that out, because obviously some people don't feel that way because they voted for the dude. So there was approximately half the country didn't think he was so horrible. So now what we have is, whether this translates into the people we're talking to, like Steve and I, Wall Street is on an up economy. Historically, you do not unseat an incumbent during an up economy. So in order to try and dream of doing that, you need to put forward like baby Jesus or something. You know, and rather than put together a strong candidate with a strong platform, and dare I say hard left, because if you're going to beat the incumbent, you're going to have to do something crazy. So short of putting somebody hard left that's a super strong candidate, there's nobody that could possibly run against Trump. And during the Obama years, all the power that they lost underneath in the underneath seats, it's just gotten flat ugly. I mean, their party is really ready to fold at this point.
Well, it is. If you want to attack Trump on the economy, and it's possible, that's the thing. That's where I'm confused why Democrats can't seem to get their heads out of their asses for longer than 30 seconds. We live in a gig economy. People are having to work 3 or 4 jobs just to try to maintain basic level things, rent, mortgage, food on the table, medicines when needed, etc. We can attack.
Well, let's recognize neither party cares about those people. I'm talking about Wall Street.
But if they were able to pay me for my services and they would want to win an election, you can attack Trump on the economy. Just like instead of going after Trump on the Russian issue, I brought up, and I was one of the small minority of people that brought up emoluments. And I understand it's not sexy. I understand it would be relatively complex to prosecute, and it's never been prosecuted before. But there's a first time for fucking everything. It was much more viable than Russiagate. So at the end of the day, Democrats need to take heed. You can attack Trump on the economy. The numbers say 4.8% unemployment. They say that this number and that number and all these other numbers are fantastic. What they're not pointing out is that inflation is on the rise, that we're having people who have to work 80, 90, 100 hours a week, literally, just to try to maintain some semblance of a life, not even a nice life, just to have a roof over their head, food on the table, and medication when needed.
But you need a really strong candidate to do that. Which one of the 20 is that person?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Democrats are going after the moral aspect. Americans don't care about morality. Contrary to 1996, 2000, and 2004, nobody gives a rat's ass about morals. What we care is about what is the production, what is actually happening. Do I have a job? Do I have the ability to provide for myself and my family? Do I have the things I need to live a decent life? Can I aspire for more? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's the economy, stupid. And this economy is so far from perfect, it's not even funny. And if Democrats got their heads out of their asses, we'd be able to go after Trump and this Republican Congress and the Senate and prove our point.
Well, and you when you talk to people in like everyday life, most of them will admit, yeah, nothing really got better for me. There were some people who really got fucked over by the Trump tax cut. in terms of when they went to file this year, they found out what they couldn't deduct, what they had to pay for, this, that, and the other. Like, they got fucked over. And they're mad, you know. Regular people are realize this, but propaganda works. And when they go home and they hear about how great the fucking economy is, they'll say to themselves, well, maybe for everyone else, but not for me. But it's in their head that it is doing well for everyone else but them.
Right.
And what that's going to do, what that does a couple of things psychologically. Like it causes fear, it causes stress, it causes depression, and you put yourself through more hell getting more jobs. You over medicate, you medicate improperly, you fucking do whatever you can to cope with the fucking stress or the fear, while you're fucking adding more stress and fear on top of it with a fucking other job, because you've got to compete in an imaginary economy.
And now you got a drug problem too.
Yeah. And now you got habits.
Well, that's the thing. This country doesn't have a good track record when it comes to addiction and mental health issues. But what I found really interesting was Salon had 4 winners and 3 losers from the debates, the second debates, so I could be specific for the audience. And one of the obvious losers was Biden, and we've gone over just his inability to be a front runner, to carry a general election, to formulate a message that resonates with people, and to defend his past actions. Biden's done. Let's call it now. Right after the first, debate, I'm telling you, it's done. He already has people out of San Francisco, and I forgot what group. He has several bundlers leaving the campaign after that debate performance.
Bundlers going. Ooh.
But here's another one that I find interesting. Marianne Williamson. And here's what Salon's take was on her. Williamson, an authored speaker, was one of the biggest wild cards on the debate stage Thursday night. People looking for something different. She was that. She frequently seemed not sure when she was supposed to be talking, and when she did talk, she rambled. She talked universal health care as superficial, saying Trump won in 2016 because of his campaign slogan. Essentially, she seemed like an incompetent moron who the Republicans, oddly enough, are starting to pour a lot of money into.
Is this the Pied Piper thing like Clinton supposedly did for Trump?
Absolutely did. That's
right. Right. I understand that. Yeah. I understand it. But is this the same thing? Are they going, oh, there's our weak link right there. Let's push her.
And Mayor Pete was seen as a winner simply because he didn't trip over himself. So that tells you exactly where this Democrat Party is going into 2020.
He's gay. He can do no wrong. He's gay, and he was in the military. He's fucking the poster child for how inclusive neoliberal fucking warfare is.
Well, here's the thing. At the end of the day, the narrative is Senator Kamala Harris, like Steve, we talked about, and we've discussed ad nauseum, quite literally. We said that.
Where did they land on Warren?
She won the first night.
She won the first night? They said Warren won the first night?
Oh, yeah. It was the first night was set up for her to win. I guess the most searched candidate worldwide after the first night and during the first night was Tulsi Gabbard.
Nice.
Like she fucking she apparently knocked her shit out of the park. I was at work.
After the second night, who's the most searched?
So it's very interesting that so it appears that they basically took Harris and Warren and they put them on opposite nights so that way they could see which one was going to hit, because they knew Biden was never going to hit. I mean, nobody says fourth time's the charm.
And they wanted to isolate Warren specifically to elevate her because they've been pushing her so hard for the last solid month.
Here's the thing, too. You're looking at a potential president-vice president ticket there. I mean, let's look at it just from a very basic level, not conspiracy theory. Warren was hyped up going into the first one. And basically the second one was, how will Biden fuck it up, or will he not fuck it up? That was the big question. Harris taking over, being condescending, but making good points. She made solid points in her attacks on Biden. I won't take that away from her. became your number one or your number two. That's what the Democrat Party is trying to push you towards. The most searched candidate before the second debate was Bernie Sanders. During the debate was Kamala Harris, followed by Pete, and then Marianne Williamson was third, oddly enough. Your top three before the debate was Sanders, Biden, Harris, and then Yang, for some reason, pulled in at fourth. So basically, you see that complete turn.
Everybody went, who is it?
After the debate, Kamala Harris, Pete, and Marianne Williamson. I mean, this is so transparent.
What search engine are you using, might I ask?
I'm using, this one is off of Yahoo. I'm also using Google, and those are the two.
Could you try DuckDuckGo, please, and see what kind of results you're getting on DuckDuckGo?
Okay.
If you start typing in very liberal things into Google compared to DuckDuckGo, you'll be shocked the differences in results you get.
Yeah, I don't know if that's for. I mean, I'm sure Google and Yahoo manipulate their search results because we know they do. But in terms of like, who's looking for what candidate, there's a whole bunch of different data centers that are tracking that shit. That's
But what if Google's, all their bots are looking for it, like a more neutral one like DuckDuckGo?
Hey, good news.
They've got to have their own results.
This is coming from the Hill. Google Trends has showed that Tulsi, after the first debate, is the most searched candidate. According to Google,
you didn't even mention her before. You never said her name once.
She was not even involved. But I did, to be fair, I did put the difference being debate and second debate. With the first search, I put second debate. With this one, I just put debate. And apparently, overall, Tulsi's what people are searching for. So that's a huge win.
Huge.
And this is coming from the Hill. This isn't exactly a liberal press, if you will. This is coming from the Hill.
Right.
This is amazing how transparent this is, and yet people aren't questioning what the hell is going on.
No, because they're reading on the fucking front page of the New York Times that Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg would be the fucking dream couple, the fucking dream ticket,
Kamala
yeah.
Sounds like you're having a stroke when you say his last name.
Right? It's what sound that M2 made when he was fucking shooting people in Afghanistan.
Oh, hey, guess what? You'll never guess who WAPO put as the number one ranked candidate after both of the debates. Just take a guess.
Number one ranked candidate?
Who WAPO put out?
How about Pete? How about Mayo Pete?
No, but I like where your head's at. Senator Harris.
Okay.
Shocking.
Second.
Shocking.
Sanders is third, and Mayor Pete is fourth. And Marianne Williamson is fifth. This country's fucked.
I was seeing fucking screenshots of MSNBC polls where they were leaving Bernie Sanders off entirely.
Yeah.
Like he's pulling. This is fucking.
Did you see that Google poll at one day where it showed the second through fifth place and they didn't even put first? They're like, nah, first doesn't exist. Here's who came in the rest of them.
They're doing that with like daily Coase polls and shit.
Yeah.
They put they'll put Bernie fucking way down here, but polling really well, but the screen cap only shows the
second through the fifth. Yep.
Yeah.
Now, there's separate articles arguing that Tulsi Gabbard didn't get enough time in that first debate, which I totally agree with, because it was definitely set up for Senator Warren to dominate it, and I don't believe she got enough time. But
we heard she was firing shots. That she went right after the military-industrial complex. You can't imagine that they're going to keep letting her talk.
Well, here's a cute thing. The first debate was all courtesy and niceties, and the second one was supposed to be where the gloves come off. I saw a bunch of babbling idiots on the stage in the second debate, just desperately searching for that money shot in which that'll get their coffers full by having that sound bite. That's what the second debate looked like to me. There wasn't anything of substance to it. It was just a bunch of one-liners.
If you look at the lineup, it really was, because I do think they're ultimately going to go with Elizabeth Warren on the second round of the convention, that Biden was there to guarantee a spoiler, but after doing some serious fucking realization, I guess, maybe a little come to Jesus moment with the fucking people inside the DNC party machine, they realized that Biden is ultimately going to burn himself out before it comes time to rig a convention. And they need someone to impress the donors. And what that second debate was a way for the middle tier corporate centrist candidates to audition for the money that's been propping up Joe Biden as up to now.
I don't disagree. I don't see Warren as the one who survives the second round. Unless somebody really jumps on Harris for a prosecutorial record, I see Harris as the one that they're going to try to sneak in through the cracks and push as the candidate who's showing you she could be progressive but has moderate basis.
She immediately fucking backtracked on her private insurer comment, where they had them raise their hand over who would eliminate private insurers. And of all fucking people, Bill de Blasio did. But Bernie Sanders did and Harris did, and it took her less than a fucking day to retract that and say she made a fucking mistake. Like, if you're watching that, I guess it doesn't matter if you were gonna vote for somebody based on their Medicare for All opinion. Mm-hmm. You were if you watch that, that happens, and you're still saying, "Oh, I'll vote for her no matter what." You're part of the problem. You're in that 26% of the country, that minority of the country that votes within one of the two major parties. You're like, there's no getting through to somebody who has traded rational thought for religious ideology disguised as fucking an American political party.
I don't disagree, but here's the thing. We were talking about it earlier. The Democratic voters and the DNC are myopic, and they have short-term memory issues. They are like akin to a person who has Alzheimer's. They can't remember that far back. They won't remember Harris's comments. Republicans will pounce on it, and we will on the left will pounce on it. We'll make a point of it, but the party faithful and the DNC don't care. They've got an objective. They want to push in their neoliberal candidate. They want their centrism, their beloved Clintonian third way, to dominate the day, and it just can't in this country. That is they're going to shoot themselves in the foot by putting out a Harris. I could see a Harris Pete ticket. I can easily see that. That way you could point to it and be like, "See, progressives, we listen to you," even though you have two candidates that aren't anywhere close to the left or progressive ideology.
I I don't think it's that they're tone deaf. I think it's that they have an agenda that they want to push, and they see these fucking Muppets as the people that are most likely to help them achieve that agenda. I think that they know what the pulse of the country is and where people are at. I think that's why they try so fucking hard to foster distraction after distraction on us, so that we don't fucking just throw down and surround the halls of power until we get our fucking way.
At the end of the day, they know that there isn't another choice. That's the thing that they pushed during the last election. Like, what other fucking choice do you have? And so about half the country still voted for Hillary, no matter what happened during the lead up to that, no matter how horrifying a candidate she was, no matter all the things that happened with Bernie and the lawsuits and stuff. They're just like, yeah, but you still can't vote for Trump. And it's like that's what they count on.
Well, what's striking to me is what the Democrats have become. They've become the Republicans of the 80s, talking about big tent, trying to grab all these voters. In 2016, they were more interested in disenfranchised and disaffected Republicans who couldn't support Trump than they were their own base. This party is a failed party. Its only reason that it exists is because it's not the Republican Party and it's been around forever. If it was based off of ideas, policies, and people, then it wouldn't exist. I mean, sadly enough, that's basically where we're at in this country.
They got the contract with the networks, and that's the only thing propping them up at this point. If anybody else made it onto TV, I'm fairly certain that Vermin Supreme has a more credible chance. I mean, when the guys threw in money for space and time exploration, he got me. He got me.
Vermin Supreme is added to his platform.
It's not just ponies.
It now includes time and space exploration.
That got me.
Fucking. Let's not forget that the number one purpose of the Democratic Party is not to win elections. It is to prevent any movement towards the left in the fucking fascist oligarchy that the United States of America is. Ben brought it up earlier, the 1,038 seats the Democrats lost from fucking 2010 to 2018 or 2016.
Well, that's the comical part. I got about 10 minutes before I have to check out, but I look at it as Democrats' argument is we're not Trump, and look at what they're doing. All you have to do is point from 2008 to 2010, in which they had a majority in Congress and a Democratic president, to see what they would do if given that power. It's not that far ago. It's not like we have to dive back in the archives 30 years to see what a Democrat-controlled government would do.
No.
We only need to look back from 2008 to 2010, and nothing will be done. So that
what will be done? They'll pass the Heritage Foundation's fucking and healthcare lobbyists fucking right-wing healthcare bill. They'll destabilize Honduras. They'll overthrow Libya. They'll fucking invade 2 more countries. We know exactly what a democratically controlled Congress would do. It would do all of the fucking things on the right wing's menu, the far right wing's menu, that they couldn't get past because the media had to play adversary as opposed to accomplice like they do when the Democrats have power. It's a fucking shell game, and people think it's real.
And that's the thing. That's the sad part. And that's what it's going to take us in the independent media to constantly bash over people's heads. This is an illusion of choice. It's not choice when you're looking at these candidates. And this debate process that we're seeing now with more exposed pre-selected candidates as opposed to 2016's nonsense, this is more out in the open. They're essentially saying, yeah, these are the candidates that we want. Here's how we're going to skew it. This is how we're going to report it through the press. This is what you're going to take and you're going to like it. We need to wake up the electorate to going, you can have options. You can have choice. It's going to take some work, though. We got to destroy the duopoly as is.
Well, and you don't do that in the voting booth.
No.
You don't. There's no, we're going to destroy the monster by becoming the monster. The Democratic Party is wholesale proof of that.
And sadly, the attempts to change it from within, to do it the quote-unquote right way, has been shot down, destroyed, decimated after everything that occurred in 2016.
Well, and that's the other thing. The way to keep people voting Democrat for 50 years is to fucking elect Bernie Sanders. And you fucking solidify the existence of the duopoly until literal extinction. Way to go. You could have had a revolution.
It's very interesting. So you look at when YouTube started censoring all the people and started shutting down all kinds of channels, they lost about $70 million.
Oh, yeah.
And that tells you, now, normally you would think this company's whole objective is to make money. So this is obviously something that they should avoid, and they doubled down on it. Now this tells you that the money making was not such a big deal for them. And I feel the same with the Democrats at this point. When you go into an election and everything you're doing is pissing people off, and you're just like, meh, but we're going to do it anyways. Apparently winning elections is not your deal. You're trying to control a narrative, which is what YouTube is doing, and taking a hit as a business and not caring.
Snapchat has never reported a quarterly profit.
It's still here.
And yet it's still here. If Snapchat is anything other than fucking advanced facial recognition software and a fucking data mine, like, oh, here, disguise your face. Let's map it. You know?
Here, make all kinds of expressions and sing, and here, we'll give you these things that help you want to do those things, so we can get every expression your face ever does.
Yeah, oh, and by the way, give us your fucking voice imprint, and then we'll make it sound like something else. Yeah.
Have you seen when Joe Rogan watched somebody just straight create a video of him that he wasn't even there? Dude lost his shit over it.
They say that deep fake technology is like poor. We're not anywhere near doing good deep fakes yet. You
got that Mark Zuckerberg one that came out where he was talking about, I forgot what the exact premise was, but he was bashing Facebook. He's saying all these things that he'd never said, and they made it look really good by using past comments that he's made, slicing them up, putting words together, and making it sound like and look like that Zuckerberg was saying all these things. It was really entertaining. And if you just put in evolution of deep fakes, you can see where they're going with things.
Well, they made one on Joe Rogan that was even worse, where they just straight up, Joe Rogan wasn't there, but they made a video of him sitting there saying a bunch of things, and then they showed it to him, and dude's like, what the hell is going on here? Like freaking out, because as far as he could tell, he was sitting there saying those things.
And that's the thing. At the end of the day, these are all the things that people are trying to sound the alarm on and people aren't listening to.
Absolutely.
All right, Jay, I know you got to go, man. Thanks for fucking hanging out. You want to just do one later and we'll fucking sign off for a bit?
Yeah.
All right, cool. This has been Slow News Day. Jason, you got any parting words?
Get your heads out of your asses, America.
Aw, that's wonderful advice.
It was very touching.
Benji?
You guys have fun.
Take responsibility for yourselves. Stop and think. Quit watching the TV. If the news provider does not look like this guy's not getting paid. The other people, they're getting paid to say what they say. This jackass is doing it for free, so you know he means it.
None of us are getting paid here.
That doesn't mean you can't. It doesn't mean you can't mail us presents. Good luck to yourself.